Alright, guys, so good evening. First of all, thank you for tuning in the P Alpha Music Podcast. Tonight, we're gonna talk about one of my favorite topics, which is fearless and courage. Basically, welcome. It's gonna be, it's not that one, it's become courageous and fearless. You're listening to the podcast in Anchor.fm. Make sure that you share with your friends. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute, make sure you share and subscribe. This is episode 119 from the P Alpha Music Podcast. Become courageous and fearless. Okay. Let's define that first. What is courageous? And what is fearless? Courage is the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, dangers, uncertainty, or intimidation. Courage is bravery, especially in battle. Right? I mean, not to deter it by danger or pain. Be brave, right? Be someone that is not afraid to confrontations. Something that is fearful, right? So one or the other are similar, right? You act in spite of the pain that can be endured. You act even when things are not going your side. Just go with faith and you confront it. Being courageous is the myth of fear can build for your self-confidence. I mean that the more courageous you use your life, the more courageous or self-confident you'll be. Now let's just define fearless. So basically, fearless is just the lacking of fear. It's being not afraid, very brave. Someone that is courageous, but go through life without thinking about the consequences of his emotion of being fearful. For example is paranormal activities people. They do these paranormal stuff, chasing, souls and stuff like that. They go through those missions even though knowing that, they are dealing with things that they cannot see. Even though there's fear in the activity itself, they just go fearless. With that, they build the courage to do so. Courage is built when you take a deep breath, inhale, just move forward. You become a courageous person. Right? Now, let me talk about a couple things that can help you out with being courageous and becoming fearless. Okay? So let's start with the first one. First one is acknowledge your fear, and you can look at this on Google. You type down become courageous and fearless, and you're gonna have this list. Acknowledge your fear. Never try to sweep your fear under the rug. Okay, and why is that? We understand where fear comes from. Fear is just your body telling you that you might be in danger, and therefore you should not proceed to do certain things. Right? Because it's trying to basically protect you. Understandable. The problem with that is that you never endure difficulty. You never go through situation that it might help you out to grow more. Right? Now, I'm not saying that when you acknowledge your fear, doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're gonna just find the master sword or the Excalibur, right? And you're gonna just be King Arthur and just take that sword and just be, oh, now I'm courageous. No. It means that it's the first step to knowing that there's some emotion going on. You want to just move forward with it. That's it, right? After that, right, you just, again, endure whatever emotions are after that. The second one, of course, is just confront it, right? You can confront that emotion itself, which is fear. Confronting it comes with great courage, but mostly great courage comes from admitting that there might be some demons that we need to just work on, and giving that step, right? It put you in a real situation where you might be in a position that you have to deal with that problem in that moment. All right. Next one is tell the truth. Tell the truth, and that's very hard. Why telling the truth is the most courageous and fearless act? Because it's easier to believe in a lie, and harder to accept the truth. Let me say that again. Because it's easy to live in a lie, and harder to believe in the truth. And why is it easy to believe in a lie? Because it's just constructing all the good emotions to make you feel good. Why you wanna just leave that, right? If you using heroin, I never used drugs in my life. What? Let's say, give an example. Use heroin. Heroin itself is the lie, but what that produces, that great ecstasy that you put through your veins, right? Even though you know it's gonna kill you at the end, why just leave it? It feels good, right? That's the lie. The truth is just breaking from that drug. Now, what happened with the truth is, when you become a big, courageous person, don't think people that were around you is gonna follow you right away. No, they're not gonna do it. They're gonna do the opposite. Why they're gonna do the opposite? Because all that lie was constructed in everything that was around you. So now you're detaching. Now you're becoming another person. Tell the truth. Embrace failure. We spoke about this hundreds of times. And failure is one of those that is hard to really embrace. It's a nice line to say, but how you can see it in action is very hard to understand. It's hard to understand failure. Failure is one of those things that it really, really, really put you in a place that it really check your ego. And from there, you have to really understand that a lot of situations you put yourself because you really put yourself in a bad spot from decisions that you made. But it is the greatest teacher than ever. So embrace failure. Now, the important thing about this, right? Let me just make a side quote here, or side thought. Is when you start embracing all these contexts, right? And you might sometimes sound crazy when you are selecting truth over feelings and lies. And the reason is, even in today's world, where everything is just being fed by lies, it's time for you, in my case, I'm talking to myself, to stand up for what is right and not negotiate that. Does that make it easy for me? No, it doesn't make it easy for me. It does not make it easy for me, but in the long run, it will make it more easier. Because it requires a high amount of pain to understand that courage is an act that not everybody can do. And I'm taking that bet against all my odds to just select the right thing. Now, why people will test you, right, for being courageous? Because of being courageous, you become a leader. And people, for some reason, hate to think that they are followers, even though they do follow, and there's nothing wrong with that. So to become a great leader, you need to learn how to follow. It's not something that just happens in the air. No, you model leaders, right? When you start modeling leaders, you become one, and so on and so forth. The importance of courage is something that you keep moving forward and you never stop growing, right? And when you stop growing, right, you don't stop growing. You confront something that is rejection, and rejection doesn't faze you. And because rejection doesn't faze you, that means, right, the opinions of people doesn't affect you. If people try to put you down, it doesn't affect you. If family try to put you down, it doesn't affect you. Even your own wife or kids, doesn't matter. Because if you leading towards the right things, right, the good thing will come. Good things will come. Now, the reason is that being fearless or courageous in this stage of your life is harder is because since you were a little kid, you were fed with a lot of lies. One after the other. One after the other. Why? Because in reality, the world is a place of hardship. Now, I personally think that exposing people to hardship from the beginning, it makes it easier at the end to be, stronger to deal through the world. Some people don't think about that like that. I do. Why do I think like that? Because lying creates fakery. Something that's not real. And this stage of life, I learned that it's better for me to be honest, even though people will not like it. At least they'll respect it. Right? Courageous. Never side with people. And you're in a situation, never side with no, nor, or. When you don't know the full story. Even they will throw you in your face. But I did this for you. I did the other thing for you. Now, be courageous. Say, this is not my problem. Right? And therefore, I stay away from it. Another way to be courageous. Make sure. Listen to this. Make sure. Right? That you never negotiate truth against anything. Make sure that you never negotiate truth against anything. It's like Jordan Peterson said, if you're not going to tell the truth, at least don't lie. And that's one of the best lines I ever heard from him. Since it's true, it's true. You're not gonna tell the truth. Why you have to lie? Why you have to please people? Why? There's no reason. If you're not gonna tell the truth, why you have to lie? To please people? Please for what? Just to be a slave of the thoughts? No. Just to avoid those things, it's better for you to just be alone, ground yourself, and then move forward. Becoming courageous is something that will take time, but it will be worth it. Worth it to a time that we need courageous people. If you don't see those courageous people, maybe it's time to become one. And lead to others that need a leader. With this, guys, this was episode 119 from the P Alpha Music Podcast. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my channels on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute. Also, if you're listening to the podcast on Anchor.fm, P Alpha Music Podcast, make sure that you like and subscribe with your family. And I'm gonna really appreciate it. A first click or any click will really help the podcast. With this, guys, I will just finish my podcast today. Episode 119. Become courageous and fearless. I'm out.